G'day Space Engineers and welcome back to Dronely, a little extra episode 10.5. As promised, if you look in the description, you'll find the design blueprint on the workshop and mod.io of this new atmospheric drone that I'm getting stuck into and explaining in detail on how you can get this all up and running and how it all works, etc, etc. So I'll just normally jump on the top of my drone very quickly, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the drone's terminal and I'm going to go to the trigger ice. So first of all, I need to actually trigger this to begin with for it to actually go ahead and do its job. So with that trigger ice timer block that I just triggered then, it's going to turn all of the drone's thrusters on individually, and that's better with multiple grids of the same type with the same group name on the same grid of your base or whatever it may be. There won't be any confusion and there won't be any multiple triggers of the same thing. That's why I have them so individually placed like that, and I have removed a couple of the thrusters, and that's why it was so slow to slow down, etc, like that in the last episode. Once it's done that, it turns or makes sure the batteries from being on the printer are in the auto mode, so when it disconnects it has its own power source. It also unlocks the drone's connector. It disconnects the small merge block that would be on the drone when printing it up, so you can just trigger it on the printer once you've finished building it, and it turns its autopilot on. There's no other commands here whatsoever, and as we're coming down to the actual timer or the drill dock now, we get above it and the collision avoidance gets turned off to make sure that it can run into the connector on the dock itself to connect, because if the collision avoidance is on, it's trying not to run into anything, so it will never actually do that. So once it gets to the drill dock itself, where we're coming on down now, it's got a 2-second delay, so it has stabilization using the magnetism of that connector. After 2 seconds, it'll tell it to lock, tell the sorters I have on this drone to push or pull ores or ice, whatever it may be specifically, at the right time. So when it gets to this drilling platform, it just turns that cargo full event controller I'll get to in a second, but I'll visually show you what they look like. I'll just go over here, and the sorters I've got, they've just got 2 here, so these 2 on the outsides are connected to the connector specifically like that, so they can push into the actual drone itself of all of that ice. At the same time, when it gets back to the base, it'll turn these 2 off, and it will turn this one on to push any ice in the drone out of it nice and easy at your base. So there's no extra steps that you have to put on your drilling platform or your base to make sure this fills up and empties out really, really fast. So I'll just go back into here and we'll look at that event controller that it's just looking at now. Let's go into cargo full, this one right here, and it's waiting for it to get to 100%. Once it gets equal or greater than 100%, let's just crank that up to there, it's going to start or trigger that RTB timer. This one right over here, so let's go to the RTB. Oh, wrong one. Here we go, there's the RTB. It's just got a 1-second delay, just instantaneously. I just want it to unlock the drone and turn its autopilot back on. So once it's done that, and the reason why I specifically use remote blocks is because you can get in control of them nice and easy to place said GPSs, that the AI blocks do not have that functionality. Not sure why, really not sure, but it has to be on the flight mode specifically, so it will always have all of these GPSs placed with their actions, where if it was in a one-way, it would not keep them and you would have to replace them every single time. Plus, once it goes on its way, it goes dirt, ice dock, turns its autopilot off, finishes its job, fills it up, gets the cargo, whatever it may be, or a collision avoidance on when we get above the drill dock itself, turns it back off again, and then comes down to the ice dock at your home base, turns the autopilot off, and then it starts that load ice timer. So this one takes a little bit longer to actually get on up into there, because I've actually placed the GPS much higher than what I did previously, just so when the drone gets to the GPS, it will actually have clear line of sight to the next one, even though its collision avoidance is telling it not to run into any of the voxels around. Oh, this has no power, just about. It's got 21%. It's just below 25%. That would show each individual light. So 4 lights, 25% each, and then it turns blue when it's completely full, etc. So I'll just continue on just with this one here. We got the remote. So actually, we'll get the load ice. We just explained it turns it all over, and the unload does the exact same thing, but pretty much in reverse. So I'll go back to the beginning. Turns all of the thrusters off and all that sorts of stuff individually, and it just tells the drone to lock after 2 seconds just for the stabilization, and it turns off the 2 small sorters and turns on that ice out. Those sorters are actually set, let's just go into here, and this one here, to drain all, whitelist only 1 item, so it will only push 1 item with the whitelist. And that's going to be ice, or you could even set it to iron or components, whatever it may be, as long as your connectors and ports are in the right way. And the ore out is just the exact same thing, except it's just pushing it all out. So we're still coming on up. It looks like it's kind of struggling, to be honest. It might be a little bit too high on the GPS, to be honest. As obviously Pertam's atmosphere isn't as good as what it used to be. So yeah, it actually seems to be struggling there. Let's tell, actually, if you ever get in this situation, go to the remote blocks control and just tell it to turn its autopilot off. So then you can just get in control of it and you can fly it on back. So I'll go ahead and do that now very quickly, and we can re-trigger this up with a lower GPS than what that was. As this thing is extremely heavy, and I may need to put those extra thrusters on the back of it. So I'll do that as well very quickly, and we can trigger it up once more. That was the absolute first test I've ever done with this drone. It took me about half an hour to build it, and if you want to see me or want to know how I actually built this drone specifically, apart from just downloading it and looking at it, let me know and I can just do like a kind of quick episode on it. So at least with this coming back, does it even have enough? It seems like it's dropping out of the sky. It might be too heavy. Oh no, that is not good. That's not good at all. I was not expecting that at all. This is probably like half a drone, to be honest. It's not going to be good. It is not going to be good. Yeah, I just got to crash again. What did I do? Not too much. Not too much at all. It's just the connector on the bottom of it that broke, really. And the sorters and a connector, or a conveyor. Like, really nothing. Oh, and the solar panels. But yeah, that really wasn't too bad. So I'll get this all fixed up, and I'll be back in just a second. What are you doing, Steve? What are you doing? But, yeah, g'day, and welcome back again. Oh, that was a little bit of a lag there. What have we got? Nothing too dangerous. Well, I've placed all of the new kind of thrusters that I did originally have in, and I've added them to the timer blocks and all that sorts of stuff I was kind of going on about earlier. But let's go ahead and re-trigger this bad boy up again. Let's go ahead and start it up. Let's go with my character and let's jump on it. If I can, nice and easy. I'll just lock myself to it as we're flying on through. And we're going about 30 Ks. I've got an extra thruster or so. It should be okay. Hopefully slowing down and speeding up and things like that. It's only set to about 30 at the moment. So it should go all the way over and should come all the way back down again. Let's see if we can get this going. So there's the approach just here. Excellent. Right down the middle of it. Right through the remote control block. And down it on comes. And then let's just zip on down here. And let's just see how much ice we've got in here. And if we actually really need a cargo of any sort. 16,000, 21,000. No, I do not think so. That is mucho space. A lot more than what this drone can actually handle, I'm thinking. There we go. And locks. So now it's looking at that event controller cargo full. And it fills up very, very, very quickly. 95, 99, and trigger. There goes the RTB timer. That's what was triggered just then to tell it to unlock and turn its autopilot back on to continue through its GPS programming nice and easy. So it was already at the ice drill dock because it completed these two to get to where it was. And then it's going to continue on with all of this nice and easy, where the AI blocks themselves do not even have that functionality either. So we're coming on up. Where's that high GPS? Where'd it go? Oh, it did make it this time. Excellent, excellent, nice and easy. So now it should just come on back nice and simply. Plenty of charge for it to actually complete its job multiple times. And I can even get it to turn the recharge function on the battery just to allow it to charge up when it's at the base, and then get it to flick over that automatic or turn it to auto first things first on the trigger timer. So before it even disconnects from the base or your home base or drill dock or whatever, it'll have it to turn the batteries to auto before it disconnects. Otherwise, it may or may not have power to tell it to do the second trigger after disconnecting. So that's just the way it kind of works. You really need to lay what you want in each of these timers. So what I was talking about just there is, if I go to the very start and you notice how these are right here just to enable the auto from the printer, it would be much better if I were to have them. If I can't, it's very strange, it won't actually allow me to go through the pages, and I just deleted that. What was that? Unload. Oh my god, I double clicked it and it just deleted it. Lock, that'll just be the sorter to turn it off. So if it's not that one, yeah, beautiful. So if I clicked on this one, it would have just left that, but because it was a new block that was just added, it's just gone there. So that was really silly of me to do that. I didn't know you could just double click to just remove it like that. And it should nice and easy come down. More than 10% charge. And this should hopefully get that cargo container down here. Oh, get the dampeners off to actually get above 5%. So all of this will be worked out. And I'm going to go to the event controller ice and show you what it's looking at. So when the base's cargo container, the one I'm looking at now, gets below 10%, I want it to turn the sorter I'm standing on off. If it's above 10% cargo space, I want it to turn it on to allow it to push the ice through. This is not on drain all. Drain all is off, for it to allow my O2 generator to just pull directly from this cargo container without the ice in it messing any of my other cargo storage up. So we should be coming on down nice and slowly eventually as the sun goes down. I'll have to speed this thing up, I think, and put an extra 2 thrusters on the front and back of it, because it going down and up through these GPSs should not be taking this long. It should definitely not be taking this long. Let's see if I can get my lights on. If it'll allow me. There we go, my lights. Thank you. Because I know that YouTube compression can really darken things up a lot. And this thing's completely full. I'm loving it so far. It's just being a little derpy. That's what I do like about the AI blocks. They are a lot faster in their movements and things like that, but these are just a lot more better. Oh, okay, so I need it to come down a lot further, just a little bit like that. So I'll need to place another GPS right now. I might as well. I'll turn my thrusters off so I drop on the connector, and I'm going to go GPS. Actually, let's go into the GPS, and I'll just copy it from here. That one there. Control A, Control C. Let's just delete that one, and then we'll just go that one, GPS, Control V, replace a new one, and then we'll go into the remote block and change that back over to the new one. Even though it has the same name, it is definitely not the same. So remove that one, and we'll need to place the one we just did. Home ice dock. We want it to turn the remote pilot off on the ice drone, remote pilot, or the autopilot off, and we want it to start the unload timer. Much better when the drone itself is disconnected from the entire grid when this is done. So now that should have no problems whatsoever with doing any of its jobs. So let's turn this off so this can get above 5%, unless I've actually dumped them all out already. Medium cargo container. It did not actually trigger the unload timer. Unload ice drone. So we'll start that, and then it will just change over. Nice and easy. So now we have ice going into here, hopefully. Connector ice. Yeah, it's being pulled out. Shit. Oh, it's probably going into the connector first. Yeah, there it is. Being pushed into the connector first. So what I need to do is I need to get this event controller to also look at that connector, or it can probably just be triggered up. This can be filled up, and then it will just eventually flow into that cargo container nice and easy. So I'll get this above 5%, and it should be okay from there. So I'll go connector, ice drone. I shouldn't be able to carry too much of it, and I just want ice to be in this. So what percentage did we get that at? 6% already. That isn't actually too bad. Ice drone. Let's get that in there. That's what we got on that. 12%. So now that should be meeting the quota of this event controller. So it should turn that sorter on because it is above 10%. So let's just go ahead and make sure this triggers up by going equal or greater than, and that one. So now that should be triggering. Sorter based ice. Sorter based ice. Yeah, so it is above 10%. It should be that. Okay, anyways, let's just make sure and just fix that itself. So when it does eventually drop below 10%, it will have no problems with it. Did that just drain everything out of it? Oh, okay. Well, there's a couple more things I need to get fixed up, as well as figuring out this one right here, the infinite tunneler, because it really works well when it has power with those two reactors, but I am not able to actually build them up. It has to be somewhat hunky-dory with all these turbines. Alrighty then, let's get this thing going. Yep, just double checking. One, and in you go. Uh-oh, still got that projector on. Turn that off. I'm not disconnecting it this time. It's going to stay connected the whole time, so it can make sure it builds everything needed along the way using my assemblers that I've actually set up over here as the main. So it's only looking at the production quota on this block here, and the rest of them are pretty much in cooperative mode, except for the two assembler steels that just turned on that are going to continuously only make steel on a loop just for the floor, so it can keep up with building this floor up nice and easy. So also, once this all builds up as well, you got to make sure that this piston stays at 2.8 meters, as when it gets printed up and built in, it actually raises the piston up a lot higher than what it normally does, and you just need to like reverse it back down and then bring it back up again so it goes to the maximum actual extension or maximum distance of 2.8. Its recommended setting height. So we should be able to have all the resources needed for this to actually happen now. And I've actually just kept it as is from the workshop that you can go and download yourself, except this back end here is just lifted off the ground still. Much better. There we go. That's how you fix that. Done. Because the one thing I had to add to this design, as for the fact that it must have been updated that these don't do as much as what they used to back in the day. So it should all get nicely finished up. And now this problem won't happen again. So that's now got a connector. Hopefully the... Yep, I thought it might. Okay, so let's just get rid of all this and that's no problem. It always happens in the last one. So let's just pick all of this up and we'll just dump it all in here. There we go. All that's all picked up nicely, and now this shouldn't have any issues whatsoever. And I'll turn these lights up once it all pushes out the front, which I might even start the next episode with this actually having pushed through to the other side and breaking through, just like they do in underground tunnels and all that sorts of stuff. I always appreciate watching those sorts of things, but that should be okay, good as gravy from now on. And I've changed this up as well, so it's pulling the ice into here and only allowing ice to go through this way, so no components can like mess the cargo space up in the drone itself. So yeah, make sure you stay sharp. Till next time, like, comment, subscribe as always. See ya.